How is she doing? I wish she'd just kicked the bucket already. She's really stubborn and annoying.
While listening to my mother-in-law's voice over the phone, I couldn't help but smile. My name is Camilla. I'm a woman in my 50s working part-time. I have a daughter named Lola with my husband Jeremiah. Lola has already left the nest and is living on her own, but she often comes back, probably because we live nearby. I think our parent-child relationship is good. The relationship between my husband Jeremiah and Lola isn't too bad either. During her adolescence, there were some rough times, but now it feels like they have a good, healthy distance. However, when it comes to my husband and me, it's a different story. Jeremiah has always been the type to assert his opinion forcefully, and when we were dating, I thought it was manly. But after marriage, his selfish behavior increased, and I started to feel tossed around by his actions. Even so, I could endure it when it was just the two of us, but after Lola was born, I couldn't keep quiet anymore. I couldn't prioritize Jeremiah all the time, and he felt dissatisfied with my attitude. Though we exchanged minimal conversation, it was so obvious that there was no love left between us. For Lola's sake, I decided not to get a divorce until she became independent. That was the only reason we stayed married. However, as the day Lola was leaving our home to start working approached, Jeremiah suddenly changed his attitude.
I'm sorry for everything so far. I've been selfish, haven't I? With Lola gone, I want us to continue as a couple, so I'll try to be a bit kinder.
When Jeremiah said that, tears flowed from my eyes. His words made me feel like my past struggles had been rewarded. Actually, Jeremiah changed visibly after that. When I returned from my part-time job, dinner would be prepared and he took the initiative to do household chores. When I felt apologetic and told him, "You don't have to work so hard. You know, you have a job too," he replied with a bashful smile.
You've been doing everything for so long, let me do this much.
I was amazed by the transformation. From then on days when I came home late from work or on weekends, it became a regular thing for Jeremiah to prepare dinner. At first, Lola was also surprised, saying, "Dad, what happened? You never even tried cooking before." Having the three of us laughing and talking together over dinner was a rare occurrence when Lola was younger. While we couldn't go back to the past, I was grateful for these peaceful times, feeling truly happy from the bottom of my heart. This lifestyle continued for about 6 months. It's around that time, Lola's behavior became noticeably strange. She seemed lost in thought more often, and when asked what was wrong, she only said, "It's nothing, just work stuff." However, it seems she didn't want to be alone as she started coming back home more frequently and having dinner here almost every day. I've been having dinner here almost every day. Well, she used to eat the dinners Jeremiah made, say,
Dad, you've improved. I need to step up my game with a smile. Now she ate in silence, often leaving food on her plate.
On the other hand, when it was a dish I prepared, she visibly brightened up. Jeremiah didn't seem to pay much attention to it, but I couldn't help but be concerned about Lola's changes. Then, on a rare night when Jeremiah wasn't working late, as I was preparing dinner, Lola looked distressed and asked me, "Mom, how have you been feeling lately? Are you okay?" I smiled and said, "Why are you suddenly asking?" "I'm fine." Well, if I had to say something, I noticed a bit more bleeding from my gums, and I seemed to get bruises without knowing. I guess it's just a sign of getting older. I said it cheerfully, hoping she'd smile too, but contrary to my expectations, Lola turned pale. I was surprised by her pale face. "Lola, what's wrong? What happened?" "No, Mom." I spoke to her as if comforting a small child. And then she tearfully said, "Mom, don't eat Dad's food anymore. There's probably something bad mixed in it. You might die." I was shocked and couldn't utter a word. She continued, "About 2 weeks ago, I saw Dad sprinkling something white on your food. At first, I thought it was just seasoning, but he only did it to your portion, and he's been doing it with every dish on other days too. It's definitely strange, seeing me worried." I tried to reassure her. It might be nothing and just seasoning. I'm healthy, and I don't think he'd mix anything poisonous. But Lola shook her head and continued. While I was thinking, it was weird. I happened to hear Dad talking on the phone with Grandma. He said something like when the effect would show or about insurance money. I couldn't hear Grandma's voice, but he's definitely trying to harm you. Please go to the hospital and get checked. I don't want you to die. Lola shouted and burst into tears, and I felt the blood drain from my body. I couldn't believe that the person I had lived with for so many years was trying to kill me. My mother-in-law had never liked me from the beginning of our marriage and had always harassed me whenever we met. She made snide remarks and I was the only one not served dinner. I had to cook for myself, and then she would complain and throw it away. When Lola was born, my mother-in-law said, "This useless woman can't even bear a successor," and spit out those words. At first, I endured and continued to interact with her, but after Lola was born, I grew tired of Jeremiah's attitude as well, and I began to consider divorce. Since then, she stopped contacting me altogether, except for occasional phone calls to make nasty remarks, though even those have recently stopped. I thought I was just brushing it off and not letting it affect me, but it turns out she had been harassing me behind my back, which went far beyond the realm of simple harassment. I don't know what my husband had been mixing in, but luckily, it seems to have had little effect on me.
Paydalle, Mom might not just get a divorce. We might even turn your father and Grandma over to the police, but would that be okay?
When I asked, Mola nodded.
They brought this upon themselves. I'm okay, so go ahead and do as you wish. Fine, wait.
With Lola's approval, I decided to take my seething anger and seek revenge against the two of them. Lola and I continued to eat Jeremiah's cooking as before. Lois started eating with a smile again, and at a glance, the dining table seemed peaceful. I asked Jeremiah for a favor and had him increase the number of days we eat his cooking. Jeremiah happily agreed. For him, it must have been a welcome suggestion since he couldn't mix in that powder when I cooked. Then I also went to the hospital. Fortunately, the test results were good, but I lied to Jeremiah.
I went to the hospital today, and it seems my numbers were bad. But lately, I've been getting headaches, and there's sometimes blood in my stool. They asked me to keep coming to the hospital for regular checkups.
I told him. Jeremiah laughed and said, "Well, at our age, our bodies tend to start breaking down. I'll try to make balanced meals, so make sure to eat well and keep up your spirits." If I didn't know anything, his kind words would make me want to thank him. And a few days later, Lola called Jeremiah's cell phone.
Till now, Dad, Mom collapsed. She's at the hospital right now, but she still hasn't regained consciousness. I'm with her today, so you stay home and wait. I'll contact you if anything happens.
Up on the other end of the line, Jeremiah's voice could be heard saying, "I understand. If her condition worsens, please let me know. I beg you." Lola and I made eye contact and suppressed our laughter during the call, though late that night. Jeremiah came home. He seemed quite drunk, swaying unsteadily. I hid in a separate room, eavesdropping on Lola and Jeremiah's conversation through the door.
Dad, what's going on? It's unusual to see you so drunk like this.
Even though she should have been at the hospital, Jeremiah doesn't seem to question it, even in his drunken state.
Oh, something good happened. I was celebrating early with a toast. I'll share some of the reward with you too, so look forward to it.
His words made my blood boil with rage. I wanted to storm out and shout at him right away, but for now, I decided to endure.
What's the good thing? I want to know too.
Lola tried to get Jeremiah to spill the beans. Lola is currently carrying a voice recorder with her. She's trying to get incriminating words from intoxicated Jeremiah as evidence. However, he's too drunk, and the conversation isn't going anywhere. Eventually, he started snoring in his own bed. I quietly slipped out of the room and went to Lola. She looked disappointed, but there are still plenty of chances. Probably won't wake up until late afternoon. We decided to rest for tomorrow's preparations. The next morning came and Jeremiah was still asleep. Touching him snore. Lola and I held a strategy meeting. Suddenly, Jeremiah's phone rang, showing that it was his mother calling. I asked Lola to use the voice recorder and answer the call on speaker mode with the volume at its maximum.
Hello, Jeremiah. How's that woman doing? It'd be great if she just dropped dead. She's so stubborn, it's annoying.
Jeremiah's mother's voice came through the phone, and I couldn't help but grin while listening, even while asleep. Jeremiah seemed to react to his mother's voice and groaned. Mistaking this as a response, his mother continued,
I've been mixing rat poison in her meals, but she just won't die. She's more tenacious than a rat. Should I add more to make it work?
I silently listened to her hateful words, and she went on.
If she dies like this, it's great. But if she gets discharged from the hospital, find a more potent drug. I'm so tired of waiting. I want to get the insurance money and live luxuriously with Jeremiah.
His mother was boasting. Just when I thought I had obtained some good evidence by chance, Jeremiah, with a hangover, pressed his head and finally woke up saying, "What's all the noise? Is it my mom?"
Jeremiah. What? Were you sleeping? How's that woman doing?
His mother's words seemed to bring him back to full consciousness. Jeremiah looked around and, seeing me standing by the bed, turned pale.
Kikamale, why are you here?
Jeremiah muttered, "I got discharged last night. It's great that I'm fine, right?" "You almost became a murderer," I said with a smile.
What are you talking about? There's no way I'd be a murderer, Jeremiah replied, trying to deny it desperately.
Finding it amusing, I decided to enlighten him. You put white powder in my food, right?" Lola saw it and even took photos. Hearing that, Jeremiah laughed and said, "What? You mean that was poison?" "No, it was a supplement. I just wanted you to feel better." I also laughed and said, "That's what I thought. So, I also wanted you to feel better. That's why I always switched our plates. Didn't you notice?" Jeremiah had a perplexed expression on his face, so I explained, "Why, you were preparing the meal. I switched our plates. So, what you were eating was my portion. In other words, it was the dish you sprinkled the white powder on." After explaining it more clearly this time, he seemed to finally understand, and his already pale face turned even whiter. He covered his mouth and hastily left the room. Throughout my conversation with Jeremiah, the call with his mother was still connected, and I could hear her unaware of the situation on the other end. As it seemed like his mother was calling for Jeremiah, I decided to answer instead.
Jeremiah isn't here right now. It seems like he suddenly fell ill.
Hearing that, his mother shouted through the phone.
Why are you there? You should be in the hospital.
I responded calmly.
I'm not in the hospital. Urchusy, I didn't eat the white powder that Jeremiah put in my food. We switched our plates.
She fell silent for a moment after my words, but then her shouting resumed.
About you, monster. How could you do such a thing? What will you do if Jeremiah dies?
I retorted calmly.
That's my line. Mixing something that could potentially kill someone into their food. If I were to die, you would be a murderer. You should be grateful that I'm still alive.
It seemed like she didn't hear my words as she continued to berate me.
Well, be prepared for the police to contact you.
I interrupted my mother-in-law's words and told her that, then I hung up the phone. Then just the two of us. Lola and I headed to Jeremiah's place. He was in the bathroom, holding onto the toilet and vomiting.
Why are you throwing up so much? Weren't those just supplements to make you feel better?
I said sarcastically.
He responded with desperation. What did you do to me? I might die. I feel nauseous and have a headache. If I die, you'll be a murderer. I couldn't help but be exasperated by his words.
Feeling nauseous and having a headache are probably just because of your hangover. Besides, that medicine won't kill you. It's just regular wheat flour.
When I said that, Jeremiah looked puzzled.
From midway through, I replaced your medicine with wheat flour. So no matter how much you eat, it's harmless to the human body. I told him.
Jeremiah seemed relieved by my words, and he seemed to lose strength in his body.
Is that so? That's good, he murmured.
What's good about it? You're going to be taken care of by the police from now on, so be prepared to face it with your mother. I said coldly.
Jeremiah panicked and said, "The police? Isn't that an exaggeration? It's just a little misunderstanding. Like I said earlier, I never meant to kill you." At this point, he was trying to make excuses, so I responded.
You thought you might have eaten it and might die, didn't you? Just feeding me something like that is nothing short of attempted murder. There's no other way to describe it. We have plenty of evidence, so you can't make excuses.
When I said that, Jeremiah smirked and laughed, facing Lola, who was beside me, and said, "It's a lie, right? You wouldn't really take me to the police. It would cause trouble for you too if I got arrested." He said it as if he could threaten me even at this point.
Rest assured, we'll be getting divorced and going our separate ways.
Lola has already agreed. We don't need someone who tried to kill her mother, I stated, and Lola glared at Jeremiah sharply, finally realizing he had no allies. Jeremiah fell to his knees.
I'm really sorry. I only did it because my mother influenced me. I would do anything like this again. I'll treat you both better. So please just spare me from the police. Please.
But I felt nothing for him, even seeing him begging like that. "Let's go." His mother. "There's no value in listening to the words of someone like him," Lola coldly said, and we left. Jeremiah's cries echoed outside. Afterward, we went to the police box and explained the situation. The The police officers there listened empathetically and took the recorded evidence from the voice recorder on the spot. Later on, when I went to submit other evidence, I also went to my mother-in-law's place to hear her side of the story. It turns out she accused us of trying to kill Jeremiah instead. Furthermore, she went on to explain that she had prepared the rat poison herself and how she had tried to mix it into my food to kill me. However, due to my scheme, Jeremiah ended up eating it and nearly died. She went into great detail about it. At this point, I started to worry if my mother-in-law was going senile. Well, if I, who was normally in good health, suddenly died and had an autopsy done, it would immediately be exposed. I think the plan was sloppy from the beginning. She was taken away for questioning. Even now, she doesn't admit to what she did, but it seems Jeremiah's spirit has already been broken. He started revealing a lot of things, and with the evidence, it's only a matter of time. Even if both of them were arrested for attempted murder, it's no longer a concern. Amidst the chaos, I managed to get Jeremiah, who's become a mere shadow of his former self, to sign the divorce papers and submitted them. In the end, things got pretty crazy, but I finally managed to let go of the burden I've been carrying for years. Lola is smiling beside me, and I also plan to start walking a new path from now on.